Alright guys, I promised you that this channel would be a lot more than just covers, and I'm going to take the first step into that world and answer some questions that you guys ask pretty frequently. And the first question I'm going to answer is, how do you get your drives to sound so good? People comment on my videos all the time, and more so than my playing, they always compliment my tone, and it's a pretty common thing. It happens to me at gigs. It happens to me at rehearsals when I go play with people. People always ask, how do you get your pedals and your amp and your guitar to sound so appropriate for what we're playing? You know, good is hard to quantify if you don't know the context of what you're talking about. But I pride myself on being able to get an appropriate sound for what we're doing, whether I'm doing chicken picking country or like really heavy rock. It doesn't matter. I pride myself on being able to pull those sounds out from my head, into reality. One of the big ways that I do that is by stacking overdrive pedals. A lot of people think that you can just get a pedal to replace your amp sound, and for a long time I was a diehard amp overdrive guy. I had really bad experiences with some really inexpensive overdrives and some inexpensive high gain distortion pedals, and I just was turned off by the whole thing. And for a long time, I was just a diehard head, cab, high gain if that's what you need, low gain if that's what you need, get one amp guy. When I started playing more country and doing more work for cover bands and sub guitar stuff, I realized that the pedal world has come a long way. I started playing guitar when I was about 15, 16 years old, and the coolest overdrive pedal I could think of at that age was probably something from like Boss. MXR made some really nice stuff, but I liked all of the other pedals, like maybe a boost pedal and a delay and some cool effects. I hated the way distortion pedals and overdrive pedals sounded. So flash forward, and now we're going to go over my board, which I'm going to pick up here in a moment and show you the three pedals that I use most frequently, and how I get them to sound like different amps, or different ideas of what people think amps sound like when they think about their songs. Long hair problems. This is my board. I'm not going to go over everything that's on it. I'm just going to, real quick, we're going to talk about these three guys down here on the bottom. This is the Paul Cochran Timmy Overdrive, the Exotic AC Booster, and the Exotic SL Drive. All three of these pedals cover a little different ground in the overdrive territory. The Timmy is very much a low gain pedal with a very flat EQ, and it really lets your guitar shine through. It works great as a boost by itself, especially the way the EQ is laid out, and it works great as a low to medium gain overdrive. The AC Booster is very amp-like. I like to think of it as like a blues breaker kind of sounding amp. Like when you crank up a blues breaker and it's really saggy and it's really warm and it's a little on the dark side. That's what that pedal sounds like. And the SL is like one of my all-time favorite amps. It's like a JCM 800. Really aggressive high end and high mids. Lots of gain on tap. It definitely nails the Eddie Van Halen kind of brown sound, and it covers a ton of stuff. Everything from classic rock and some modern country, and I've even done thrash and death metal covers with this pedal into a clean amp, and maybe a boost in front. And that's just a testament to how flexible pedals can be compared to an amp setup. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut away, and I'm going to play some riffs and some licks, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how I'm stacking the pedals and how I'm utilizing them to cop these different amp sounds. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is play you a little bit of my clean sound. I'm not using much of anything. After the overdrives, I've got a little compression on, and I've got my noise suppressor on to keep things down. But other than that, this is my clean sound. The clean sound I'm using is actually an orange micro terror that's going direct into my interface into speaker impulses, so that you guys can hear the the most dramatic changes between the different overdrives when they're stacked. It would be kind of hard in just a simple kind of YouTube video context to capture a mic sound, on an amp in an apartment. So to work around this, there's a very simple setup with the micro terror set up clean and then run into speaker impulses. So that's my clean sound. And this is the Timmy. I've got the Timmy set up low gain for country, twangy, kind of Brad Paisley sounds. And that gives me like my channel 1. I have my clean, which is my starting point. And then my first drive channel is like gritty, pushed, kind of country twang. It's also useful for kind of or like funky kind of that kind of stuff. It lets my guitar sound shine through. It's almost like there's a little clean always bleeding through the drive, and it's a great low gain drive. And that's also why it works well for a boost. When you throw the gain on 0 and you juice up the knob on the volume and tweak with the EQs, you can get a great flat boost out of it. But that's how I use it. Next up, I have my AC booster, which, like I said, is a little more amp-like. Think Blues Breaker, something along those lines. Just very fat kind of. Great for kind of new blues noodle. That kind of thing. It's got that kind of dark, rumbly characteristic to it. And it's great for other stuff too, and you'll see when I can start combining the other pedals how well these guys work together. And then last but not least is the SL drive, which is the Marshall on 10. Lots of high end, lots of gain. Great for the kind of the Led Zeppelin. Thing, if you want the saggy kind of for that kind of stuff. Now the real cool stuff happens when I start combining these. So let's say I've got a song that's a classic rock song, and it's got kind of a dark, gritty rhythm tone. Just vamp on that, But the lead kicks in. And you need that extra dirt. That's where the Timmy comes in very handy, because you can go from to and it just gives you that extra oomph and everything and all that kind of stuff. But it also, that rhythm sound works fantastic for a great rock rhythm. You're playing a lot of pop rock and stuff. You can get those like or the pop kind of. great for that stuff. Punk rock, punk, upbeat pop rock, any kind of thing like that. Or, like if you're doing a Foo Fighters song, that kind of thing. Anything that's not super high gain, it really works for that. Or say the same kind of context. Say you've got like a more rockin' song. And you need a lead tone. The SL drive and the Timmy together, or the AC and the SL drive, they'll give you two really distinct lead tones. The Timmy gives you more of a tight kind of lead tone. If you kick on the AC and the SL drive, you get a very fluid. So, I mean, just even that kind of. The AC gives that kind of that Eric Johnson-y feel, whereas the Timmy gives you more like a snappier kind of immediate attack. Even for quick kind of. That whole kind of thing. And that's really the trick to it all, is figuring out how the pedals work together as much as they work by themselves. One of my favorite examples is the BB preamp, which I don't have with me right now, but I will be demoing in the future. Many people would think that the BB preamp is a higher gain pedal than the AC booster, and that's a very common misconception. They're just tonally different. I would put the BB in the character more of what the Timmy does, and I switch those two pedals out frequently. But I always put the BB before the AC because they give me that kind of snappy, immediate attack rock sound. It's very, very kind of Brian May lead tone, just that whole thing, So depending, what gig you're doing, you can pull out all kinds of sounds with a very minimal setup. And it's not really necessary for you to bring a bunch of gear, in the form of two amps, a high gain amp and a clean amp, or, a huge multi-effects setup just to get all these different sounds, when if you just sit with your overdrive pedals and see how they work together, you can get so many different sounds. Alright guys, I hope my video was helpful. I hope I answered some of you guys' questions, and I hope that maybe I encouraged you to check out some of this cool stuff. Any of these pedals, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to my good friends that run Humbucker Music in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I worked for those guys for a while, and they really, really know their stuff. I bought the Timmy and the SL drive from those guys while I worked there, actually. And I can't say enough good things about the way that they run their shop and the selection of gear that they have. If they don't have it, good luck finding it anywhere else. And in closing, again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to send them to me. I'm going to be putting these videos together on a pretty regular basis. I'm going to try to have one of these tone tips videos a week if possible. But the easiest way for me to do that would be for you guys to send me subjects to talk about. So don't be afraid to hit me up with questions. Bombard me, in fact, because the more questions that I can answer, the more content I can bring to you guys. Feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Leave me comments and suggestions on those as well. And please subscribe and share this video with your friends. And hopefully I can continue to answer you guys' questions and bring more interesting content. See ya!